Hello and welcome to Camp Xbox. Today I will discuss games I consider essential on the Xbox. This is for any viewer, but this would be a good starting point for anybody getting into the original Xbox and understanding what made the system amazing historically and amazing still to this day. I narrowed it down to 10, which was extremely hard. I had a giant list and I painfully whittled it down. Too many great games are left off this list, so I can almost guarantee that your favorite will likely not be on here. But I would be interested in making this a series, so let me know if you'd like that in the comments. Also, there's no hidden gems listed here. These are mostly popular games, but they are essential to the Xbox experience. All footage was captured from an original Xbox, and I want to thank my YouTube channel members for their support. And in no particular order, let's hop into it. First up is Fable, developed by Lionhead Studios and Big Blue Box Studios. It was published by Microsoft Game Studios. It was released in 2004, and this was in a string of great Western RPGs, and this was one of the most hyped games for the console around its launch. Starting as Project Ego and various other names, this game was meant to be the Xbox's killer role-playing experience. This was led by Peter Molyneux, who might have hyped up this game to an extreme level. Upon its release, it had a ton of fans, though there were some that were hurt by the tall tales made for this game. Even with that said, that piece of history is why it is essential to understanding Xbox. At a time when RPGs on the console were in full swing, but were mostly sci-fi, the fantasy world of Albion was like none other. With gorgeous graphics and vistas, Fable serves whimsy like none other. Walking in the woods as light shines through the trees or protecting villagers from werewolves in the darkest areas, there's always adventure in this open world. Mix in one of the most outstanding game scores of all time, and you get a world that'll suck you in and awe in its beauty of what can be achieved on the console. Though the RPG elements were hyped up, what's there is still satisfying. Seeing your hero molded by your choices becoming evil or good with fun changes to yourself. It felt like the world changed around you and your choices sent out ripples. The sword combat is simple and entertaining, especially when comboed with the magic spells. The leveling system is a blast to scroll through and develop. Your hero's journey is a great plot that feels like something ripped right out of an ancient story. But this game has a wicked sense of humor that I still don't think has been achieved since. The greatness of Fable is there, and it's one of the Xbox's defining titles. It's excellent for a run-through if you've never touched it before. Being one of the highest-selling Xbox games of all time, it's one of those definitive experiences. It's a game that would be a significant franchise for the Xbox and well remembered by many who played it. It's a must-play game on the console. Next up is Ninja Gaiden. It was first released in 2004 and later saw an updated version called Ninja Gaiden Black in 2005. This version updated a few things like a mission mode and included DLC. It is considered the definitive version by fans and is the one I'd recommend going out for. It was developed by Team Ninja and published by Tecmo. One thing about the Xbox is that Japanese development support was wanted but never really took off. Yet, when Japan made games exclusively on the Xbox, it produced some excellent results, as you'll see from a few others listed today. Ninja Gaiden is a hardcore action game for the console, and much like other games on the list today, it has been ported elsewhere, but even so, this is still a definitive part of Xbox history and still holds up as one of the best on the console. This game is one of the best action experiences on the Xbox. It's full of tough-to-fight enemies and some insane boss battles. These fights get extremely weird and full of style. This game asks you to master the toolset it gives you, being able to dodge and hit in perfect timing to move around. If you like a good challenge, this will offer you a lot. It's also a definitive game for graphically understanding the Xbox's power. Team Ninja always pushed the console to its fullest extent. This game doesn't even run at 720p, and it looks like it. The colors pop on the screen, and the character animations are all fluid. The look of this game was cutting-edge 3D at the time, and remains stylistically strong to this day. The cutscenes are fun, and the story is good. Ryu Hayabusa's story and vengeful plot feels like classic cinema, and it's so much fun. For me though, it's all about the copious amounts of violence on the screen. With the free-flowing combat comes decapitations and blood sprays, pushing Xbox's edgy reputation in its generation. It's entertaining and works with the visceral action of the combat. The combat is a blast to flow through, and this game has tight controls that ask you to master them. It's a blast and an essential piece of Xbox history. This is an entry we all saw coming. It's Halo and Halo 2. This is the first double entry on the list, and I did this because some games just have a great companion piece, and one can't be experienced without the other. I think both Halos deserve to be on this list, but I didn't want them taking up 2 spots, so I cheated a little and put them both in the same spot. First came Halo Combat Evolved, a launch title for the Xbox. It was developed by Bungie and published by Microsoft Game Studios. I don't think much convincing is needed to tell anyone Halo is essential to the Xbox experience. Even those not really into gaming could say that. Halo was the killer app. It was why Xbox wasn't seen as a one-off console and became a console worth getting for many people. Halo was a hit because it was a smooth-playing first-person shooter set in an ambitious world with a great story to top it off. You play as Master Chief and you discover a ring world and you crash land on it after Alien Covenant attack you. You explore this ring world and find its many secrets. It's interesting and told very well with excellent voice work. It sets up an exploratory level design that was novel for shooters at the time, allowing you to dig deep into the wild grassy expanses or snow-filled monoliths. It all looks excellent for 2001 and still maintains a look that can only be uniquely defined as Halo. The shooting was tight for then, but the alien designs amped up this game. Having small grunts charge at you or tough elites lunge at you give this game a sense of variety in its enemy design. It's never tiring to kill them because they all act so unique, and the weapon selection is amazing, especially considering the Covenant weaponry. It's simple, but when built into the great level design, wonderful vistas, and fascinating lore, you get something that stands out today. The Xbox could have been a massive failure without it, and it's a must-play for anyone who loves gaming. Yet Halo 2 emerged in 2004 and redefined online gaming and was an essential part of Xbox Live. Not only that, but it's another amazing game. This was Xbox fever at its height. Halo 2 was the most hyped Xbox game, quickly becoming the most sold game on the console. Just on hype alone, this game is essential to understanding the Xbox brand leading into 2005 towards the 360. Halo 2 takes the fight back to Earth, and Master Chief must fight back on Earth from the invading Covenant. Halo 2 is an even stronger playing shooter, taking what worked in the original and amping it up, allowing for elements like dual wielding and keeping health to just shields. The controls are even tighter, and the battle rifle in Halo 2 is pure perfection. The new enemy types make the world feel even more full, and the cinematic quality of the cutscenes is impeccable for the time. The look of this game is spot on with great looking cities, and even though I feel Halo 1 might have a little more charm, this has so much detail in large expanses that are still great to explore. Match that with some amazing music, and Halo 2 is a great world to enter. It's got such a grand story and filled with pockets of lore, and it feels so huge in scope for the 6th generation. It's such an ambitious title. Yet, if you're new to Xbox, I recommend setting up Insignia. This is the original Xbox Live replacement program, and Halo 2 is a highly influential multiplayer game, which it's supported through Insignia, and people still play it regularly today. SWAT is one of the greatest multiplayer modes ever made in my opinion. Other than that, you get great maps for Slayer, all of the maps are perfect to play online, and the DLC maps are excellent too. This multiplayer is addicting, and it's easy to see why it was a mainstay well after the launch of the 360. Halo 1 and Halo 2 are both essential to the Xbox experience and should be an easy pickup for anyone getting into the console.
Good one, amigo!
Next up is Crimson Sky's High Road to Revenge. This was a release from FASA Studios that came out in 2003. This is an arcade flight game set in an alternate history. For me, this is an essential release because it shows off the unique side of the console and all of the different styles of exclusive this console has. This is also one of the best flight games of its generation. In this game, you play as Nathan Zachary, a swashbuckling air pirate that is out to avenge the death of an old friend. Set in the retro future of 1930, areas are built up for flight, being the main mode of transportation. Cities are built into the skies and towns are connected by landing strips. The world and characters developed for this game are straight out of a pulp serial. Nathan is a fast-talking smartass who has so many fun lines to follow, and the world is awesome to explore. The level design in this game is so fun. It takes place across America and features canyons, cities, and islands, and they all look crisp on the Xbox. The sense of scale against your plane is well done, and the design of the planes are great too, with striking colors and a large mix of weapons to use while attacking enemies. It feels good too. This is not a strict flight sim with simple controls. Flying these planes is easy to pick up and play, but mastering all of the dives and flips takes skill. The mix of weapons and fast-paced combat make this game addicting. And if you plan on setting up Insignia, I highly recommend this one online. Mastering these great controls in impeccably designed maps makes this a blast online. Weaving and dodging all of the weird weapons is so much fun and well worth playing on a game night on Insignia. This game has an undeniable charm that is hard to hate, perfectly setting itself up as something completely different on the console and being one of its most entertaining games. If you want to try a unique game on the Xbox, this is worth getting. This is essential because of just how entertaining and how different of an exclusive it is. Jet Set Radio Future is next. This is an exclusive from Smilebit and Sega that came out in 2002. This game is pure style and is one of the best games you can only find on the console. It's essential and put on here as a representation of all the amazing games Sega brought to the console. More hidden titles like Gun Valkyrie and Panzer Dragoon Orta come with time getting into the console, but Jet Set Radio Future is one of those games that should be picked up with the console. It was a tie-in for so many people when they first picked it up as well. In this game, you play as a gang called the GGs as you go around and tag the streets of Tokyo with graffiti. You fight against other gangs, but also an oppressive government group taking away free speech. This is the next game in the Jet Set Radio series that started on the Dreamcast, but is not a direct sequel and more of a reimagining. The controls and gameplay are refined in this entry, and smoothly transitioning between grinds and tricks are blazingly fast and entertaining. This is a game that makes you feel extremely cool while playing it. The style here is one of the best looking experiences on the console. The bright, colorful, cel-shaded style pops on the Xbox, and the levels are incredible. The depth and layering of cities are some of the best you'll find in the generation. The way these levels are laid out and how the platforming between areas is breezy is brilliant. Until recently, with games like Bomb Rush Cyberpunk, there really wasn't much like it. And speaking only on this console, this is as unique as you can get. Once again, bringing up that point that this console has a wide amount of cool and unique games that can only be found here. The control, look, and movement are strong, and they all work perfectly together. It also has one of the most fun soundtracks on the console, weaving together original songs and licensed tracks, making a tapestry of beats, rap, and punk music that is emblematic of the era it was made. This is an essential part of the Xbox identity out of something like Halo, something stylish and cool that stands out as one of the best you can get. If you don't own this, I recommend getting the double pack with Sega GT 2002. The standalone copy is getting very pricey, and the double pack isn't quite so expensive, so you might as well get the two games for cheaper. And I wouldn't put Sega GT on my Xbox Essentials list, but It is a fun racer, and some people out there would definitely put it on there. So why not get a bonus game along with Jet Set Radio Future? Next is the Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. This was released in 2004 by Starbreeze and Vivendi Games. It might be surprising to see a movie game on here, but Butcher Bay is an example of one of the best in its field. Not only that, but it's just insanely fun and one of the best looking games on the console. It's essential to show off the Xbox's power graphically. The game is set in the universe of the Riddick movies, but takes place before them, serving as a prequel to the movies. The plot here is movie quality, and something about the confined space of the prison allows it to feel fleshed out in detail. It doesn't have a forced huge scope, and it allows the setting to have so much to look at. Playing Riddick is a blast, and the good voice work from Vin Diesel and others help it. Going up and talking to other inmates is one of my favorite experiences in this game. This is a stealthy game too, which I find tough to do in first person, but here it's seamless. The lighting is impeccable, similar to titles like Splinter Cell, and a shout out to those games that didn't make this list but were very close. The darkness plays well with light, and weaving around bum-rushing guards is excellent. Mix that with solid shooting, and you have a recipe for a varied game. It's a great controlling first-person shooter, and it's so much fun to explore. I always have a good time running around this prison and getting into its darkest depths. Like I said before, this game looks incredible on the console. This highly dark game could easily be an eyesore due to its darkness, but it plays well with the light. The characters and animations are solid, but the environment is what shines for me. The way levels layer and connect around is brilliant game design, and each section of the level has something to dig into. It's all displayed excellently, especially when you beat up people in the great first-person fist combat. This game is one of those excellent playing experiences based on a movie, and luckily you don't have to watch the movies to enjoy this one. It has a great story, a great look, and it's an overall fun experience, making it a standout title on the Xbox.
Come on! Right now!
Next is the other double feature on the list with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2 from 2003 and 2004. This is another Western RPG for this list and one of the definitive Xbox games. Highly praised for its in-depth story, mechanics, and look, this game was groundbreaking on the console, delivering amazing dialogue trees and great voice acting. It's definitive as being another piece of the great Xbox legacy of delivering games with amazing scope, and though the Xbox never had as many RPGs as the PS2, it still offered some of the best of the generation. Knights of the Old Republic 1 was developed by BioWare and is a game I return to year after year because it's such a solid game to explore. It delivers a fantastic Star Wars RPG experience full of different worlds to explore and loads of different aliens and people to speak to. Each area you travel to is full of lore and side quests, and it's a great deep dive into the classic series. I love that it isn't really tied to the movies, so BioWare was able to flesh out the plot as they wished. This allows the game to capture the Star Wars feel while also feeling unique and on its own. If you're a person who loves plot, this is one you need to check out, and it might even be worth it for non-Star Wars fans. The combat is simple, you set up attacks and you auto-fight against enemies. If you're looking for something fast and visceral, I wouldn't say this is it, but for me that's fine because what is here is excellent. I think the range of powers you can select from helps make this combat feel full, and the variety of weapons to choose from makes your character feel unique, especially when you replay the game in different ways. The locales look excellent in this game too, with a nice design, and the number of people walking around and stores you can enter and talk to the shopkeepers, there's just so much to look at and see. This is where this feels like the precursor piece to Mass Effect, with bustling cities and large vistas. It's an RPG with a huge scope, and it is a wonder to behold, becoming one of the most awarded Xbox games ever released. I think it's essential on the Xbox and definitely important for the console. Knights of the Old Republic 2 is more the same to me and delivers the same great gameplay. The combat is maintained here but does feel a bit smoother. This one was developed by Obsidian. They took the core of what made the first game work and just kept it going. Exploration is great, and checking around areas and talking to characters remains a joy. It's just more of a great thing. Yet, I think the dialogue might be a little bit better here, which Obsidian usually always does well with their dialogue. All of the characters have good depth, and I love that they included a ton of skill checks in the dialogue, really making each playthrough feel different if you swap around where your points are in your stats. This makes it feel very unique compared to the rest of the RPGs on the Xbox. Many people don't like the ending in this game, and I think that's understandable, but otherwise this plot has a brooding quality that makes it so much fun, exploring not only the light or dark side, but the idea of a middle-of-the-road Jedi, inserting morally gray choices, something that I think is unique in all of Star Wars. It offers a darker vision of the universe. Both of these games will give you an experience like none other on the console at the time. Both are on PC, but it's still an important part of the Xbox fabric. This is a great experience that offers tons of content to dive into. It's one of the most ambitious games of all time. So this is a Camp Xbox list, so you know I had to include a racing game. And it's a hard choice because I really only could fit one in here with everything else, but I think the definitive racer on the Xbox is Project Gotham Racing 2. Sorry Forza, but you got so much better on the 360. This game came out in 2003, and this was created by Bizarre Creations. This does not get a double feature, even though I think the first is good, but I believe everything you can experience in this entry is an improvement, and you can just get a better overall racing experience here. This is a racing game that I recommend to non-racing fans because it offers so much to do, and the playstyle is perfect. This is an arcade racer, so it's easy to pick up, and it's less about car management. It's about being stylish and maintaining speed on the road. Each course will have you doing something. Of course there's races, but you have ones where you have to weave between cones, hit a high score on a speedometer, or you might have to pass a ton of cars. There's a variety of things to do here, not only in game modes, but in places to race in. This game is packed to the brim with locales from all across the world. These places have multiple different tracks in them, and they all feel unique. They're not plain boring areas, and they capture the region they're trying to emulate. All of these courses are designed to facilitate the great kudos system. With kudos, you bob and weave around corners and you get points. You combine these with drifts, speeding, or drafts, and you start to multiply your score. Start adding all of this up and you will get crazy high scores, and getting to the top of leaderboards is addicting. With Insignia, all the leaderboards are up again, as well as online races, adding an incredible element of chasing the #1 slot back into this game, making Project Gotham Racing 2 still awesome online today. There's a wide range of different cars to choose from, and they all handle great. The driving is not exactly arcadey, but meets somewhere in the middle of sim and arcade, making it feel very unique. Also, this game looks incredible on the console. The lighting and reflections are gorgeous, and the detail packed in the cities you drive in is outstanding for the time. If you get just this game, you will get hours and hours of game time out of it. It's an essential racing title on the Xbox. I also felt like I needed to get one fighting game in here, and to me, that's easy. Dead or Alive 3, another Team Ninja game on the list that was an Xbox launch exclusive fighting game. Still to this day, I'm amazed by how good this game looks for 2001. Even at the launch of the 360, this game still held up as one of the best looking games on the Xbox. The character animations and fidelity this game delivers is incredible. Every time I see these characters fight and use their whole moveset, it's spectacular. All of the characters in the roster have differences that make them stand out, and it's such a great game to move from character to character in because they're all so fun. The feel of the controls is on point in this game, with the fighting controls being excellent. It's not incredibly fast, but once you start getting combos down, there's a sense of flow in the combat. The way it uses 3D space feels great too, and that works hand in hand with the stage design. I love fighting games that interact with the environment, and here you have stages with full definition. You can throw people out and they'll fall multiple levels down, or maybe you fight people in the forest and you can slam them against trees. It feels like the world of this game has come to life. You get a nice selection of game modes to mess around with, from story to time modes. My favorite though is the survival mode. Multiple people are thrown at you and you see how long you can last. It's as satisfying as it is challenging. Going through each mode is great in multiplayer, making for an excellent game to play with others. If you set up this fighting game at a party or just with one other friend, it's so easy to pick up and play and will be a great time. To me, this is an excellent Xbox game and a defining experience on the console. Once again, showing how good games could look on the Xbox, but also it's just an excellent fighting game for the system. All of the characters hold up, and as a launch title, this is easily up there with Halo as one of the games you had to get when the console first came out. Pair this with Ninja Gaiden, and you can see that Team Ninja was a massive part of what made Xbox great.
Greatest!
The final essential game today is close to my heart. It's Jade Empire. Released in 2005, this is another game from BioWare. It's an action RPG based on Chinese mythology. This is another reason why BioWare was such an essential part of the Xbox, and this one is probably the most forgotten game on today's list, even though it does have a very strong following. This game is more action-oriented than BioWare's previous effort, Knights of the Old Republic, letting you go in and choose your moves and fight. This does not mean it loses its creativity. Jade Empire has multiple different styles of martial arts for you to choose from, each having special moves and skills for you to level up and decide how you want to shape your character. All playstyles in this game are fun because the combat works so well here. This combat is unique to this day, and I still love going back and exploring it. The world too is expertly designed with some excellent lighting and colors. The art design in Jade Empire is beautiful, really bringing out the beauty of Chinese mythology. You can feel it in the many different areas you explore in this game. Each area has a ton of people to speak to and fun characters. BioWare continues pushing great stories with this entry, but unlike Knights, it's not based on anything, which I find interesting. I hate that this world was never explored again because all the lore and people you run into make a world unlike anything else I've seen in gaming. The locale and music work hand in hand, making for excellent music composed by the great Jack Wall. He captures the world so perfectly with all of the songs here. The plot and the world rest hand in hand. It makes for something truly captivating. Throw in a fun combat system that makes the game feel fresh every time you play it. It's a great world to deep dive into, and it's one of the most unique RPGs on the system and is worth revisiting. To me, I find this essential because it represents the breadth of Xbox experiences that are kinda hidden. Much like Crimson Skies, these are games that were huge for the Xbox community, that built up around the console. But outsiders might not have played them as much. Games like these helped keep a strong community identity alive for the console and made the Xbox such an incredible place to play games.
Watch yourself.
But that is it for this list. Those were my 10 Xbox Essentials. It was so hard to whittle these down to 10, so let me know in the comments if you think I should do another list because I could easily keep this going. There's so many more essential games, but to me, I feel like these were the most important in my eyes, at least in terms of history and being incredible games. Be sure to leave a like, it really helps me out in the algorithm. Subscribe to keep up with the rest of the Retro Xbox content, and check out my second channel, Camp Extras, where I cover things that are not Xbox. And I want to give a huge shout out to my YouTube channel members. Thank you so much for your support, you really help out the channel, and I'll see you here next time at Camp Xbox.